Good morning. Hello from CEO Warrior Headquarters. I'm here with Jason Knoll.
Morning.
So, we're here at War Planning, my favorite training of all.
It is mine.
It is Jason's. That is why we are here live with you today. In all seriousness, I wanted to bring Jason on today to speak about the why behind understanding your numbers and what it can do for your business. Understanding how to run your business day to day takes a lot of work, but it is easier to make decisions based on numbers and facts. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm a gut reactor. But when we really do, we can make better decisions. We can make better hiring choices. And I wanted Jason to kind of come on live today and talk to our viewers and a little bit about what it means for them and kind of walk us through the 2 days and what do we do here at War Planning.
Yeah, cool. So a little bit about the training. It's war planning, so it's 2025 budgeting. So we're preparing, all of our members are preparing their budgets for 2025. I'm a firm believer, we're a firm believer here at CEO Warrior that if you don't map out your plan, what kind of path do you have to even follow, right? So what we're doing over the 2 days, yesterday, and then we'll finalize it today. We're actually building out our plan for 2025. Monthly, it'll be a monthly revenue budget. We're going to dial it all the way down to what conversion rates do I want to achieve next year, what average tickets do I want to achieve next year, how many calls do I need to achieve that revenue number, right? All the way down to how many people do I need, how many trucks do I need, right? We're mapping out the whole entire plan, and there's a couple of ways that we want our clients and actually any business owner should make decisions based financially, right? So it should be based on, is it in the budget? And two, am I looking at my P&Ls and do I actually have the money, right? So rather than just spur of the moment, spend money, these decisions need to be made financially. So what we're doing these next yesterday and today is we're building out the plan for 2025, and then we'll track it throughout the year on a monthly basis, just to make sure we're on track, and we'll be their full support through that process.
Amazing. So talk to us a little bit about the process of when you say that you're going to be reviewing it on a monthly basis. So we're in October of 2024. We kind of consider that as a baseline of how we're ending the year. Even though it's year end, we're now starting fresh in 2025, new budgets, new guidelines, new decisions to be made for the upcoming year, reverse engineering, just like you had just said. So now we're going to take a look at what does that look like on a monthly basis, and how do we hold our warriors accountable to the process?
Perfect. Yeah. So with it being October, we'll have to project out October, November, and December of this year based on past history. So we're taking a good scientific guess, for lack of a better term.
Kind of like PSA&G.
Yeah, we're projecting out so we can budget off of those numbers. But we do use past 3-year history to be able to come up with those numbers. So that's where we're going to build the next 3 months, because we're in October now, so we're budgeting through September here today. Answer Sandy's question is our document that we use to build our budget document, has a company tab that you go in and you enter all of your information on a monthly basis. Okay, so at the end of January, by February the 10th, when everybody's P&L should be final, they should go in and enter all of their P&L information from that month, including all of their KPIs, including their gross margins, all of their cost of goods stuff, and then send it to us so we can track it on a monthly basis. Because what we don't want to do is get to a point, so we have a lot of people in the room this year that maybe didn't have their numbers cleaned up and weren't fully prepared, and we don't want that to keep them from doing their budget. So we're gonna create a budget, but the key is next year tracking that information on a monthly basis, so when they get to October of next year to build 2026, they have all of that at their fingertips. So we're kind of at a mindset of, we got to start somewhere. Let's build a budget. Let's build it out. Track it month over month. We can review it. We can dial it in. We can reforecast if we need to. But by October of next year, they'll have all of their information tracked so they can build their 2026 budget, and it's more clean.
So of the room of 100 people, excuse me, how many of them actually came prepared? Okay,
Probably.
You're sick, I'm sick.
Probably, I don't know, probably 25% maybe, and fully prepared, nobody. So we got people in the room that have done war planning before, so they were a little more prepared. They knew what to expect, which we've upgraded this training as well. We've upgraded the document. It's much more user friendly now, so they can do a lot of copy and pasting. We did a ton of pre-work. We spent a lot of time. We did 2 pre-calls. We spent a ton of time ahead of time making sure they were prepared. So 25% probably were prepared enough to build a budget. Another 50% of those had enough information to be able to
Make it through the day.
really dialed it in by the end of yesterday. The other 25%, we're going to get them caught up, and by the end of today, they'll be caught up. But we spend a lot of time too, like working with them one-on-one here in the room. The whole team does. So, Eric and I are kind of running the training, which I want to give Eric a shout out because he helped me a ton with
Way
this.
to go, Eric.
Yeah, he helped me a ton with this training because we basically rebuilt it. So, and Eric does a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and he doesn't get a lot of the credit. So he helped me build all this. I kind of explained to him what I wanted. We worked through it together. He built all the documents and everything. So it's been an amazing process. So much more improved this year, and they're going to leave this year with a true plan that they can track going forward.
I love it. And one of the things I like about war planning and the way that we do it, and this year has been very different than years past. It started last year a little bit where you guys were navigating through a new book and you had put together some new curriculum. This year, what I'm seeing and hearing from our warriors is that you guys are taking the time to walk them through each exercise and why they must do it and how it's applicable to their business.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just do this exercise, get these numbers, this is why. And look, coming from different industries where I've actually run the back end office, understanding the dynamics of the numbers, looking at the chart of accounts, being able to make decisions based on true numbers, the trades are a little different. And coming from the advisory side of the trades, I also know how many people do not have their chart of accounts, even such simple.
Right.
So you're taking them from here to moving them through tools that I haven't seen anywhere else in the trades industry. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the thoughts that you and Eric had behind the scenes, saying, let's move them through these other exercises.
Yeah.
Well, talk about some of what's new in the book.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, building a 2025 budget is a very daunting task, right? And as a up and coming business and someone that doesn't really get into the numbers too much, right? Some of our clients, it could be very overwhelming. So we really wanted to dial that back this year and really get into above the line expenses, below the line expenses, what that means, why it's important. We've got a section on recruiting because we want to talk about staffing. Just all that, we broke the sections down into smaller chunks. To Sandy's point, we want them to understand why, right? The why and why it's important for their business that we do it this way. We're breaking down the chart of accounts. We want to, it's kind of multifaceted because we want to get their P&Ls structured the right way too, right? We want to make sure they're budgeting and they're from a departmental perspective, right? Today they may be lumping all of their revenue into one department, whereas they go into 2025 they want to build out different departments. Well, we want to budget that way. We want to budget that way, then we want to track their P&Ls that way. So we're helping them dial that in as well, and really getting into like being able to help them from a support perspective and the communication from their software to their QuickBooks and how all that works. We have support system for that. It's just super important that we get their numbers cleaned up going into a new year so they can start fresh.
And maybe it's not everyone's favorite thing, right? I mean, but
It's not most people's favorite
and
thing.
a lot of them,
I'm kind of odd that way.
Well, but that's good because that's where you shine. When if it's an unnecessary, I mean, it's a necessary evil, not unnecessary. See, subconsciously, I'm saying it's unnecessary. But when you look at your business and understanding prospectively, I speak with business owners every day, and most of them don't even know what their revenue was for the prior year. Some of them don't even know what their net profit was. So they are giving me time and material costs. They're throwing numbers at me. They're using their business for their lifestyle.
Yeah.
How many of those do we see?
Too many. And here's the thing, there's too many, there's a lot of business owners in the trades especially that will tell you they hate their numbers, right? I understand that, but here's the thing, it doesn't matter, right? You have to know your numbers whether you hate them or not. You don't have to love them. You don't have to understand them completely, but you have to understand them. Otherwise, otherwise it's hard to be successful because, I mean, how do you continue to scale? How do you grow? How do you know when it makes sense to hire somebody? How do you know when it makes sense to buy a truck? How do you know when it makes sense to add a CSR? Right? All these things are financially based. And if you don't know your numbers, then you can't really make those decisions the right way.
Yeah, and the reality is you guys can stay in the truck and you can keep running your business day to day. And if you remove yourself from the truck and you go on vacation, there's no income coming in for 2 weeks. Really, that is what happens. So if we start to understand our numbers, most times it makes sense to hire. Most times we're looking at it from a scarcity perspective, as you know, I speak of often, and not from an abundance of what it can do for you. And that also goes down to the control. And I see a lot of business owners in our room right now, we love you. What we see is that you bury your head in the sand about the numbers. You'd rather it just go away, and you're running it just like you always have. And the decisions that you're going to come out with are going to be the same. So when we are advising you from our standpoint of it's time to hire because you're doing it all, but you're not doing any one thing well, and you're not moving your business forward, you're keeping it status quo. And we see a lot of that as well.
Absolutely.
So what are you seeing as some of the biggest deficits in the numbers as you're walking around the room and they're putting, where are you seeing some of the biggest fails?
I mean, the biggest thing is just understanding what the numbers mean, I think. First and foremost, it's making sure everything's structured properly so we can do a true analysis of their numbers. The next thing is, once we've done an analysis, like understanding what it means, and then probably the most important thing, what do we do about it, right? Take action. We can look at our numbers, we can understand them. What's our next step? What are our action steps? So I think the biggest thing for me probably that I see on a day-to-day basis is just the structure of their P&Ls, their chart of accounts, getting that cleaned up, which we take care of that in onboarding as we run them through onboarding as a new client, and just understanding what those numbers mean, and then not necessarily knowing what they mean, but then what to do with that information, right? What's the next action step? I think those are the three biggest things.
And just like in our personal health, we can almost know what their health's going to be by watching them eat, or how they carry themselves, whatever. We can actually see
I mean, I know what I need to do to lose weight. It's just, am I going to take action and do it?
Well, that's the same
right?
thing. So now we have a business health, and your numbers are your business health. It's showing how healthy you are, and a lot of you are looking at your businesses for generational wealth. You're looking at what's next, scalability, whatever. We always say that you need to build your business like we're going to sell it or franchise it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless if you're passing it down to your family.
Build it to sell, and then it doesn't matter if you want to sell or not. Like, if you want to be in this business the rest of your life, so be it. Grow it, create some generational wealth, like Sandy said. Like, build your business to sell. You don't have to sell it, but that's how we want to structure it, and that's how we want to build it.
Yeah, and I mean, I joke about not wanting to know the numbers or dealing with it. To me, it's just boring because it's numbers and it's spreadsheets. But the reality is, I do understand what it takes in order to run a sustainable business, obviously. When I look at the members, and it's coming from a place of the lack of knowledge actually scares them. It scares them to know.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, and there's so many other things that they have to touch in their business. But when you start to point out, like I was talking about yesterday with the why, little things that came up, if we are looking at our numbers and we understand how to extract, and Jason, you always say garbage into our CRM, garbage out. So what we put in is going to come out even stronger for us to be able to make the right decisions when we can articulate that to our teams. We have full transparency, and everyone is on board with our mission. We're going to be looking at the same things overall. So how do you suggest the owners support their teams with the numbers and the budgets per, let's say that I'm the sales manager and I have a 10% budget in spending in my department, or marketing 15% or whatever. How do you use these numbers, and how do you guide our members to support their teams with the numbers that they have budgeted for the next year?
Yeah, so I think you mentioned marketing. So from marketing perspective, we're gonna look at what's working, what's been working. We're gonna track it. We're gonna get ROIs, right? We're gonna get cost per call. We're gonna dive into all that stuff. We want to figure out what's working, because if we need to spend more money, let's put it in the stuff that's working, right? So too many times from a marketing perspective, we just don't track our KPIs, and we hire a marketing company and expect them to do it, which they should, and they will, but they're just like any other employee. We got to hold them accountable, right? We got to understand. We got to get the information. We got to understand what we're looking at. We got to dive into that information, right? Same thing. Understanding what we're looking at and what to do, what kind of action steps to take with that information.
Yeah, and again, with full transparency, you're watching heads blow in this room. You know, it's probably why it's so hot in here.
They were melting down.
It was melting yesterday. It was very interesting because usually this is such a high energy room. Everyone comes in. This is where the minds are down here, right, for 2 days. They come in, they eat, and they're back in the room. So we have some super exciting stuff planned for today. Of course, another day of war planning.
Yeah.
And then tonight we have some super great things. We're working right into Warrior Domination tomorrow. So I know we still have some more people coming in that couldn't make war planning, but coming in for Domination. We've got some fun things going on, and I'm thankful that you were able to join me in headquarters this morning, bringing it live. And we thank you guys for coming. Jason, go do your thing, buddy.
Happy to be here. Can't
All
wait.
right.
We're gonna put a bow on this thing today.
And I won't. No, I'm kidding. Very nice. Thank you very much, and everybody have a great
Thank you. Have
Wednesday,
a great day.
Tuesday. What's today? Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday, I think.
Great. Okay. Great. Thanks, guys. Bye.